sea creatures of all ages, Fujoshi and Fundashi alike, and welcome to the BL Corner. BL Corner. Now, the BL Corner is just a little series in which I go through both more modern BL titles as well as some from older generations, such as this one that comes from 2008. I probably should have... Today we're going to be going over Junior Escort by Sakurako Hanafubuki. I probably butchered that one. Now, this is technically a 4-volume series, but I only own one of the books. And I came across it during my own yaoi phase way back in the 2008s when I was a weeaboo myself. So, of course, I just own the first volume. No cover because I ended up throwing those away because they just got in the way. Now, this series was back in 2008 and 2009 when Borders was still a thing and one could buy these things straight off of the shelf with, of course, little wrappings so that way you couldn't actually see inside, explicit. Now, Junior Escort, as I said, is a 4-volume series. Junior Escort being the first one, another one being a Crazy Star. Now, Junior Escort is a 4-volume series, as I said. Junior Escort being the first one, the second one being Love Code, third one being Crazy Star, and the fourth one actually being a prequel called Shining Moon. And it went into production on March 25th of 2008. Now, straight from the publisher's site, and I'm going to quote this as a summary for the first volume. And I'm going to butcher every single name. Ayukawa is a hot-up in corner in the flashy world of celebrities, but he pales in comparison to the superstar Mizuhara. It's impossible to pass a newsstand or television without seeing Mizuhara's perfectly chiseled features on delicious body. So when Akiwara agrees to a special transaction involving his incredible idol, he figures that it's just part of the rise up to the top. But is there something, or someone, lurking behind the velvet curtain? Now, technically, the first volume does have multiple short stories. Of course, the main one is about these, as I said, the celebrity, the summary. But reading this now versus reading it back then, I see that there's a lot of tropey problems when it comes to this story. First is typical yaoi face, with head being so large that if you shaved it, it'd look like a dome, as well as the tropey large yaoi hands, but of course that isn't the more, I hate to say the word problematic, but you'll see whenever I get to it. First, let's start with the main one, Junior Escort. Now in this lead, and I'm going to just start calling them by their first names or the easiest names I can go, in this story, our main leads, Ayu and Mizuhara, are in a sort of prostitute sort of kind of relationship, with Mizu being the most famous guy in Japan while Ayu working at a talent agency. The relationship here is very stereotypical yaoi, no communication, very possessive or over-possessive seme, and the Yuke not really communicating, what he's feeling in the relationship. This, of course, comes to a head when someone catches them, celebrity taking pictures, and then, holy crap, the seme almost stabs a guy in the eye. Like, literally, there's a scene where he, on the eye and threatens a guy who was taking pictures of them. And, of course, the Yuke is okay with this, still loving him, and the story ends. There's also some Japan-censored smut that's going to be found throughout the story, along with it can be seen both either consensual or very non-consensual, which is something that very old yaoi that a lot of people on Tumblr like to complain about and think that it's still something that is done to this day. But in more of the 2008s and older, a lot of yaoi was seen as very, written as very non-consensual in this day and age when you see it, simply because that was sort of the way it was in Japan, or how the Japanese saw these kind of things. So a lot of things that are considered yaoi as opposed to shonai are some of it's very seen as non-consensual, or it's just very, very explicit and just things like that. As opposed to shonai, which is more soft, there's barely, if any, smut, and it's more seen as more sweet and things like that. Very different. Very, very different terms. But let's get on to the other story. Now, I'm not going to go in order, because the next one is one I'm going to save to last, simply because it's very disturbing, is the safest way to put it. So I'll go on to the next one is called Behind Closed Doors, and honestly, out of all of them, it's actually pretty tame and pretty sweet. It is about what can be described as a CSA survivor or abuse survivor and a painter who is interested in him for how beautiful he sees his scars are. Now, the person in question who has the scars sees himself as sullied and dirty because of what happened to him, because of his family and his stepfather, but the artist does not see it this way and actually very much supports him and loves him, though I doubt in the story he knows exactly why he feels this way about himself. That being said, it's very, very sweet, because there's no forcing anybody on anything. It's very much the Yuke, or the CSA survivor, very much coming to terms and realizing this guy doesn't see me this way. He's being kind to me. He actually cares about me. And it's actually pretty sweet, though the art does suffer a lot of same-face syndrome. After a while, you'll be confusing some characters for other characters just because everybody looks the same. Either there's some dark-haired guy and then some light-haired guy, and maybe they'll switch roles between bottom and top, and that's just it. So it's a very tame story, one that I'd say go ahead, read it. It's nothing special, but it's a lot better than the other ones on here. So let's go to the next one. This one is called So Lovable, So Kind. This story has Mitsuru propositioning a freshman for smut, basically just for friends with benefits, even though we're not really friends, and stuff like that. And said freshman catching feelings, the Yuke being a tsundere and going, oh no, I don't like you like that, baka, rinse and repeat. It's really nothing special, really, it's not. It's just boring. I would say there might be some non-consensual stuff in there as well. This seems to be something this artist really goes for, at least in this. I haven't read the other ones, but some of the stuff here does seem very non-consensual in a way. So, rinse and repeat, basic yaoi. Now the next one is Baku, which is a shorter story featuring characters Aki, Megumi. Honestly, like, when I first read it, I started confusing those two characters with the first ones from Junior Escort. Now, Aki and Megumi, Aki catches Megumi with a girl and gets jealous, and then running off, starting a love triangle between Aki, Megumi, and their friend Seno, who is interested in Aki, but seems to also be interested in Megumi, and it's very, like, almost fanficky in how it is. I mean, Aki and Megumi still end up with each other, but it's just it's boring. It's basic what you would think of when it comes to old 2000s yaoi. That's basically what it is. Love triangle, there's smut in it, and bing bang boom, it's done. Now we're going to get to the story I skipped. This is the second story in the book. This is one that I've always skipped just because I found it disturbing even back then, and especially now. But it was just... Before I get into it, I already probably put a warning before the video, but I'm gonna just say this right now. If you're very sensitive to topics of CSA and things like that, leave. Just leave. Don't even bother, because you're not gonna like this. This chapter is called Angelic Seduction. And by the author's own words at the very end of this book, the author describes why they have certain titles for stuff and things like that and why they did this for it. And they basically said, and I quote, "My challenge for this story was to gear it towards the Shotacon fans." If you don't know what that is, just Boku no Pico. That's it. That's all you need to know. If you know what that means, then you know what Shotacon means. Yeah. And the pairing here is between someone who's 14 and someone who is described as a kindergartner. And it is disturbing, and it's just... I know Japan has a different way of writing things and romantic things, as well as the age of consent, but this is disturbing, and I very much feel like this is wrong. I'm all for looking into disturbing things in media and in fiction, but when you're reading this, it's very much... and I hate to use the word romanticized, but it very much is romanticized. It even skips forward to when the kindergartner is now a 14-year-old and the other person is now an adult. And they still get into a relationship, which, yet again, I find very disturbing because this person was 14 and this other one was a kindergartner, so now this other person is in their probably late 20s or late 30s getting with a 14-year-old, and it's just very, very disturbing. I mean, even in Japan's consent laws, that would still be illegal. Very much so. And it's just... like, I don't know what to say. It's just... it's disturbing. And, yeah, oh, I'm going to challenge for these kind of fans. It's just... like, I like things like Killing Stalking just because I like the thriller and stuff like this. But there's a difference between this and showing that this is bad and this is wrong and stuff like that, and you can see that through reading that, and then seeing an actual romanticized version of this. Just, I would not like if you just want to see something of see how this kind of stuff was in the olden days, by all means go ahead. It's online and shit like that, but I'd skip that chapter. If you really want to see it, just, you've been warned. You've been warned. But that is the BL Corner. I hope you like this series, because I'm going to be doing a few more as well from the ones that I do own, and then start up going for things like webcomics and other stuff that do involve BL as well. If you like this, maybe make some recommendations, maybe give me some critiques, because I'm just starting out on this new series, new year, new me. But thank everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you all for watching. You can go and check out the rest of my channel, click for more videos, or check me out on Instagram where I'm a heck of a lot more active, or even send me your own stories via Tumblr. Thank you guys for watching, as I said before, and I'll see you later. Bye!